Doc, are you telling me you created a time machine? Hello and welcome to Vapor. On today's show, we're doing a throwback episode. We're going to be taking a look back in time at the original Digiflavor Drop RDA and see how it compares to modern day RDAs. How much has changed? Is it still the same? Let's find out. Let's take a trip back in time. All right, so now we're back in time. 1985. No, I'm just kidding. Not 1985. I wish. But here's a Digiflavor Drop RDA, and I have it connected to a mod because it is much easier to take apart this way. Because, as a lot of you know, when these are brand new, the tolerances on this device, the O-rings and everything, is so tight. And I know a lot of people complain about that, but that is something you should not complain about. Tight tolerances are awesome. They are really awesome. They keep the device working properly when you get juice on the O-rings, because when these O-rings get the VG and the PG on them, they get really slick. So if you have tight tolerances, even when these are slick, they come apart pretty easily. So tight tolerances are nothing to complain about. If you have loose tolerances and you get juice on those rings, the device will start falling apart when you're using it. And that's something you definitely don't want. So let's take a look at this. This is the outer shell. The outer shell has 10 holes on each side. And it also has a notch in the bottom here on each side. Now that notch is important. It keeps this locked on target to the coils on the inside. If this was not locked in place, when you would go to adjust this, it would start to walk, right? And we all know when those holes start to walk, they're not lined up on those coils anymore. And then your airflow is totally jacked up. So the fact that this is notched and keeps it locked as you adjust the airflow on the inside is pretty awesome. And it also adjusts from the top down, which is great, because you wouldn't want it to adjust from the bottom up, because the coil's down here, right around these 4 holes here. So if it adjusted from the bottom up, eventually you'd have the air blowing above the coils, and well, what use is that? So it adjusts from the top down, so you still keep that airflow blowing across those coils, getting you as much flavor and clouds as possible, which is fantastic. And the way they do this is by having the inner shell, and as you can see, it is notched. It is notched and tapers downward, and that's how you get that downward adjustment on those air holes, which keeps the air directed on those coils and not blowing above it where you don't want it. And it's a mirror image on the other side, because you got, of course, holes on both sides of this, so you need the adjustment to be exactly the same on both sides on the inside. And it works fantastically. And I don't know if you can see it here. I'll try and get it close up if I can. Come on, camera. A little hard to see, but it is in fact angled and tapered on the inside like a bell. So when you get the vapor coming up through here, through the hole, it squeezes it and condenses it as it goes through to the mouthpiece, to the drip tip, so that you get as much flavor and density as possible, which is, it's really noticeable when you start using it, just how dense and flavorful the clouds are from this device. So this was actually very well thought through. I know they have a newer version, the 1.5, but honestly, this older version, I mean, it works great. And I'm looking at the base here. I know a lot of you are going to say it's like, oh, that's a copy of the Dead Rabbit or whatever. And I'm not going to argue with you. It's like a reverse Dead Rabbit. And honestly, the Dead Rabbit, you know, pointing the opposite, like the posts are on the inside and these face outward. The Dead Rabbit is a better design. It is. And only because of the difficulty you have trimming the leads on the coils on the inside. Either you have to have a really fine-tipped clipper to get at that, or you have to kind of like line up your coils, bend them a little bit to get the measurement correctly so they're sitting just above the deck, and then pull them back out, clip them, and then reinstall them into the deck. So it's like adds a couple extra steps. But I'll tell you what though, you do not have to worry about your coils grounding out, at least the bottom legs, because they're on the inside. They don't stick to the outside. So if you're someone that's not particularly good at clipping your coil legs, this will save your ass as far as grounding out and getting a hard short on the shell of your RDA. So in some ways it's good for beginners, and in some ways, you know, pre-measuring is like bad for beginners. But the fact that this has a really deep juice well, and let me get my caliper here. It's got a nice deep juice well on it. Let's see. Come on, caliper, stop being a bitch. There we go. Got about a 4.5 millimeter juice well on it. So that's decent. That is decent, especially because I intend to use this for squonking purposes, which is why I got my Fuchai squonk mod. I like squonking. For those of you who don't understand the benefits of squonking, that's fine. You do you. But I like squonking because I have additional juice on the inside and a lower profile on top. And I think it looks just a little more sleeker, a little more slim, more pocket friendly. And yeah, I think squonking is the way to go, but to each their own. Next, let's put some coils in here and build this baby up. Welcome back to the future. I know what you're wondering. What does this old throwback Digiflavor Drop RDA, how does it perform? Well, take a puff. See how she does. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good, especially considering the coils I put in here were just some pre-built quad coils. You know, not the best thing, not especially compared to stuff I make. I make some pretty wicked coils. So these are pretty baseline coils, and I gotta say, for the design of this, for the airflow that I have, like there's the holes I have, just the bottom 4. For the wattage that I have it at, I mean, it's a nice cool vape, the kind that I like. The flavor is awesome. It's spot on. I've used this juice many times, and the flavor that this is putting out is like on target, is spec. So what can I say about this thing that you guys already don't know? It used to be, when this first came out, that you had to pay anywhere between $35-50 for one of these RDAs. But now that a few years have gone by, you can pick these up as low as $5 a pop. And that is an awesome deal, because it's not like this product degraded throughout the years sitting in the packaging. Let's face it, it sat in a box in somebody's warehouse, you know, collecting dust. But yeah, you pick these things up, $5 a pop, you are getting a fantastic deal. You cannot beat that. I can't tell you where you can get them. Google can tell you that, because let's face it, YouTube would slap me hard if I started telling websites for things. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, as always, y'all know what to do. Later, vapors.